You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet pull in your soul, that knowing deep inside that you're not like everyone else. That's because you're not. You are chosen. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to break cycles, to carry light where others see only dark. And if you're here right now, it's not by accident. This moment, this message is your divine appointment. You've been giving your heart, your energy, your loyalty to people who can't even see your worth, and still you stayed strong. But now, something is shifting. You're being called to rise higher. This isn't just about motivation. This is about activation. You are being prepared for something greater, and to step into that, you must stop wasting your power on those who try to dim your flame. This is your wake-up call, not to be afraid, but to remember who you are. You're not here to beg for respect or shrink for anyone's comfort. You're here to lead, to heal, to transform. And it all starts when you reclaim your energy and redirect it toward your divine purpose. This is your time. Let's go. This is your moment. Hit subscribe now and step into something greater. Don't miss out. There are moments when a message isn't just a message, it's a spark igniting dormant awareness. Pause for a breath. Ground yourself in this present moment and allow the gravity of this truth to sink in. If something within you feels pulled to continue reading, it's not by accident. This signal is for those attuned to subtle shifts in destiny. Keep your focus here, not because of ritual or superstition, but because your intuition has brought you to the edge of a needed awakening. If you feel the abundance of divine love filling your heart, now is the perfect time to share it. By clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $100 or more, you can help spread God's blessings far and wide. Your offering will not only touch your own life, but also reach countless souls through this platform. Each of you holds a sacred place in God's magnificent plan, and your generosity will be the answer to many prayers. Take action now. Share your blessings to honor His kingdom. For you were created to accomplish even greater works through His loving hands. May God's grace be with you. When compassion becomes a one-way street, it drains more than just time or effort. It quietly siphons your spirit's vitality. There are souls who move through life like hollow vessels, always in need, never in gratitude. Yet still, you extend your light to them, hoping they'll find their way. But the echo within says otherwise. Not all hands reaching toward you are meant to be held. Some simply pull. This is a nudge from the unseen. Reserve your strength. When generosity becomes routine sacrifice, it no longer serves its purpose. It becomes self-sabotage. Offering sanctuary to chaos does not make you holy. It leaves you threadbare. Letting others spill their storms inside your calm will eventually tear your foundations. You weren't meant to absorb their lessons or carry the weight of what they refuse to learn. A line must be drawn, not in anger, but in clarity. Detaching isn't cruelty, it's preservation. You cannot pour from a vessel that's been leaking from neglect. Release what diminishes your light, or risk being extinguished by shadows that were never yours to hold. There's an invisible architecture woven into reality, an unspoken symmetry guiding every ripple we create in existence. Intentions, even the silent ones, don't vanish into nothing. They carve paths that eventually circle back. This isn't about punishment or reward, but rather an intricate ecosystem mirroring what we release into the world. Benevolence, when given with clarity, returns in serenity and abundance. But when kindness is offered to those who discard it like ash in the wind, it mutates. Their imbalance stains your path, and without knowing, you become entangled in consequences that were never yours to bear. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Interfering with this natural harmony doesn't go unnoticed. The scales of energy are finely tuned, and any misalignment demands correction. When effort is poured into barren ground, into minds unwilling to grow, or hearts closed off by ego, the distortion spills back. That ache in the soul, the fatigue that won't lift. It's often not your own. It's the feedback of misdirected generosity. When your offerings cost you your inner stability, that's not kindness, it's erosion. And erosion, no matter how slow, always leads to collapse. The message hidden in this discomfort is loud. No healing occurs when you are the one bleeding. There are moments when the soul whispers truth louder than any voice around you. Some connections aren't meant to be fed. A generous spirit doesn't mean a door left open to the storm. There's a weight that comes from giving endlessly to those who neither notice nor nurture. It's not a flaw in character, but a misplacement of sacred energy. Each time love is met with indifference or disdain, something precious is siphoned. That depletion trickles into the body, the mind, the spirit. You were not formed to absorb someone else's chaos. The essence within was designed to illuminate, not to flicker out under the burden of those who refuse to rise. It's easy to fall into the illusion that compassion is an obligation, especially when the world pulls at your empathy like an endless thread. But generosity, in its purest form, is meant to be a conscious offering, not a debt you owe. When warmth and support are constantly met with cold indifference or silent dismissal, something sacred begins to wither. It becomes essential to pause and reassess where your emotional currency is being spent. The moment your inner calm is traded for the sake of those who never reciprocate, the cycle transforms into quiet self-destruction. True giving should expand your light, not weigh it down like stone in water. Some wounds are not caused by life's harshness, but by the repeated betrayal of those who smile while dismissing your soul. Imagine extending your essence time and again, only to watch it trampled without acknowledgement. The ache that follows is not imagined. It's a fracture in your spirit. Pouring yourself into those who mock your sincerity poisons your sacred core. That's not benevolence. That's corrosion, masked as mercy. Not every plea for help is worthy of an open hand. Continually offering your essence to those who scorn it invites a darkness that drains more than energy. It diminishes purpose. And a life lived in depletion is not one aligned with the divine order. When compassion turns into a habit of tolerating disrespect, it not only bruises the soul, but teaches others that your boundaries can be bent without consequence. This creates a ripple effect far beyond your own being, disrupting harmony, distorting intentions, and inviting cycles of emotional debt to spiral outward. Overextending for the ungrateful isn't just an act of personal sacrifice. It sows confusion and misalignment into every connection around you. There is no virtue in dimming your flame for those who sneer at its warmth. Your essence wasn't crafted to be consumed by those who mistake your light for something disposable. It was made to shine where it's honored. There's a kind of weariness that doesn't come from lack of rest, but from carrying emotions that were never yours to hold. This silent erosion begins the moment you start giving pieces of yourself to those who only know how to consume. It isn't some abstract idea. It is a slow dimming of your essence, a hollowing that spreads inward. Extending your care to people who respond with coldness or disdain becomes a leak in your spirit, not a noble act. What starts as compassion can curdle into self-neglect if the energy you offer is met with contempt or silence. As time moves forward, the toll becomes harder to ignore. That invisible weight pressing against your heart, the sluggish days where nothing inspires, the discomfort in your body that mirrors your internal unrest. These are not coincidences. They are signals. Overgiving to those who take without offering respect or balance leaves fractures within. The solution lies not in shutting down, but in understanding that true compassion doesn't mean self-sacrifice. It means choosing where your light is needed and where it's being used as fuel for someone else's fire. Even in moments when clarity is clouded, there is always an unseen witness to your intentions. Each time your generosity is exploited, it does not go unnoticed by the higher order. You may not fully understand the motives of those who drain you, but the truth always surfaces with time. Some will hide their selfishness behind a mask of need, but the cost they demand is too great. There's no shame in seeing through the illusion. Protection is not rejection, it is wisdom. What's divine within you is not meant to be diluted by those who only know how to take. When goodwill becomes entangled in disrespect, the damage isn't just personal, it echoes. Repeated patterns of unreciprocated care spread disharmony across your environment. The distortion infects more than the bond with one person. It creates imbalance in every space you step into. Continually allowing your gifts to be misused fractures not only your inner world, but the worlds you try to nurture. The purpose was never to endlessly extinguish yourself in the name of kindness. It was to preserve your fire so it could light what truly deserves to grow. Each offering of time, energy, or effort is not without consequence. What seems like selfless aid can become a spiritual expense too heavy to bear. When you habitually correct or carry the faults of others, your own essence begins to fade beneath the weight. Though it might appear virtuous, this pattern chips away at your vitality in layers you don't immediately see. True service uplifts both the giver and receiver, but when one only drains and the other only gives, it's no longer healing. It's imbalance. And continuing down that road delays your own alignment with the path you were meant to walk. There comes a point when inner transformation demands release rather than rescue. Holding on to what weighs you down, simply because it's familiar or expected, only dims the path ahead. Growth asks for more than effort. It asks for boundaries. Evolving means making space for progress, and sometimes that means stepping back and letting others navigate the consequences of their own actions. Advancement is not marked by how much you endure for others, but by how boldly you protect your direction. Evolution requires clean hands, not ones tied to someone else's downfall. This is the moment of decisive clarity. No more hesitation. The guidance is unmistakable. Your internal well-being must come first. Anytime your personal limits are ignored in the name of being good, the price is your identity and your spiritual stability. What you carry within is rare and sacred, meant to be preserved, not scattered. If you continue to offer your energy to those who see it as disposable, you slowly erode the connection to your core. It's time to draw the line, to reclaim what was freely given, and to close the door to anyone who can't see the value in your presence. Dear brothers and sisters, may the peace of God fill your hearts today. I come to remind you of a profound truth. Our lives are firmly established in God's divine purpose, untouched by the fleeting worries of this world. As Scripture tells us, Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. Luke 6:38. Like the mighty oak whose roots are planted deep in rich soil, our foundation is anchored in God's eternal truth. Every move we make, every stand we take, is upheld by His enduring strength. Today, you have the opportunity to participate in this divine blessing. By clicking the Super Thank You button and offering a gift of $50, you will sow into a harvest that will return to you many times over in God's abundant grace. What sounds like a warning is really a gift of liberation. This isn't about fear. It's a call to power. The moment you safeguard your energy, your world begins to shift. Calm enters, vision sharpens, possibility expands. When you no longer bleed into spaces that only take, your foundation begins to rebuild itself. You weren't meant to carry others' unresolved choices like a second skin. The moment you stop trying to fix what isn't yours, a new chapter begins, one that's written in clarity, not confusion. Every soul must walk its own terrain. While compassion may tug at you to intervene, wisdom tells you that real growth never comes from shortcuts. Trying to rewrite another's path will only cause you to stumble from your own. Offering support doesn't mean shielding others from every hard lesson. It means trusting that life knows how to teach what needs to be learned. Release the urge to step in. Let them meet the mirror of their own choices while you stay focused on your own evolution. The journey is personal and unrepeatable. No one else was given your vision, your direction, or your purpose. Interfering in someone else's karmic unfolding is like watering a seed that was never planted in your garden. It depletes your reserves without nourishing your destiny. Carrying burdens that were never meant for you only delays your own becoming. Walk forward unburdened, not because you lack compassion, but because you finally understand that real love honors autonomy. Let what is not yours fall away, and let your steps return to where they were always meant to lead. Some souls are wired to carry more, to offer their hands without hesitation, but even the strongest structure crumbles without reinforcement. It may feel noble to intervene, to correct, to lift others from their own chaos, yet doing so can become a detour from the very path you're destined to walk. Interfering in someone else's unfolding does not accelerate growth. It postpones lessons that must be earned through experience. The essence within was not placed there to collect dust beneath the weight of another's denial. There comes a moment when protecting your own progression becomes the truest act of alignment. Freedom begins when you stop confusing responsibility with rescue. Granting others the dignity of their own consequences is a profound form of love. It is not coldness, but wisdom. You are not meant to bend until you break. You're meant to expand into your fullness. When you create healthy separation between your energy and the spirals others are choosing, the air clears. Distance births clarity. The act of stepping back isn't neglect. It's a sacred preservation of your purpose. A spirit that constantly pours without replenishment becomes a shell of its former brilliance. Giving endlessly may look selfless, but over time, it carves deep hollows where vitality used to live. Without boundaries, compassion becomes a slow leak. The emptiness that follows isn't just fatigue, it's disconnection. You weren't asked to be a lifeline for those who refuse to swim. Holding your energy close is not betrayal. It is a step toward wholeness. And from that wholeness, true healing begins, not just for you, but for those strong enough to rise on their own. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Exhaustion of the soul hides in plain sight. It shows up in moments where joy feels distant, where everything feels like an obligation, where the light inside flickers despite all efforts to keep it steady. When your giving becomes endless and unrewarded, it's like planting seeds in soil that rejects growth. This depletion is dangerous. It fogs your connection to intuition, clouds your sense of self, and turns your divine direction into a burden. The warning signs are already here. It's time to return to yourself before the distance becomes irreversible. Even in moments of collapse, the door back to balance remains open. Restoration is waiting, but it asks for courage. Choosing to protect what's sacred within you may feel unnatural at first, especially when you've been conditioned to prioritize others' needs above your own. But decline is not destiny. With every firm boundary, you rebuild the bridge back to peace. You were not created to be used up by those who misunderstand generosity as weakness. And when the scales tip too far, even unseen forces step in to restore what has been thrown off course. Energy misused becomes debt, and you were never meant to pay for someone else's silence. Some people were born with open hearts and hands, always willing to give, to fix, to carry what others drop. But even the most giving souls must one day realize that not every burden is theirs to lift. When sacred energy is poured into places where it is rejected or misused, the natural balance is shaken. This disturbance does not go unnoticed. It invites disruption, not as punishment, but as a necessary correction. What may feel like spiritual resistance is, in truth, a message urging protection. That pull to retreat isn't weakness. It's a sign that your power is meant to be preserved, not scattered in unworthy soil. There's a line where compassion ends and self-betrayal begins. Continually stepping in to rescue others can feel virtuous, but it can also become a barrier to growth, yours and theirs. Growth demands responsibility, and responsibility demands discernment. The work of the Spirit involves knowing when to release what was never yours to solve. Every action carries weight, but so does every reaction. When you shield others from facing their outcomes, you quietly claim accountability for choices that do not belong to you. That exchange is not spiritual generosity. It is a misalignment that derails your own evolution. Carrying out your unique path means letting go of roles that were never yours to fill. You weren't created to be the buffer between others and the lessons life intends for them. When you place your own growth on hold to manage another's chaos, you abandon the rhythm designed specifically for you. Real progress begins when you claim your space fully, when your energy is no longer diluted by distractions dressed as duties. The deeper truth is this: clarity returns when you choose your direction over their delay. There's a sacred rhythm to healing, one that cannot be rushed or outsourced. True transformation arises when the inner world is no longer clouded by emotional noise that belongs to someone else. You don't need to fix every broken thing to be good. Your worth is not measured by how many people lean on you. It is defined by how honestly you walk your path. When you invest in your own peace, the ripple effect is undeniable. Your stillness becomes strength. Your clarity becomes guidance. And through it, others are given space to wake up to their own lessons. The turning point begins with recognition. If your energy feels scattered, if you're constantly running on spiritual fumes, then a shift must be made. You cannot build a life of meaning on foundations eroded by chronic overgiving. It's not too late to change direction. Reclaiming your center begins with one brave act, choosing what aligns with your soul. You were not placed here to be consumed by those who mistake your kindness for obligation. Step back, realign, and remember. When you choose peace over performance, you honor both your own life and the deeper order meant to govern it. This is your moment. Hit subscribe now and step into something greater. Don't miss out. Some hearts are wired to give endlessly, pouring love like a stream that never questions where it flows. But even love, when left unchecked, can begin to erode the very foundation it springs from. When care turns into overextension, when generosity is met with silence or disregard, the energy once meant to uplift becomes a quiet thief of peace. The intention behind your giving may be pure, but misdirected love becomes a siphon, not a sanctuary. The sacred within you was never designed to be depleted by those who mistake your devotion for obligation. When love is not honored, it becomes a shadow of itself, draining, heavy, and unrecognizable. No soul was assigned the task of carrying everyone forever. Compassion should never come at the cost of inner collapse. Drawing the line isn't cruelty, it is wisdom shaped by experience. Love loses its grace when it is endlessly poured into hands that offer no return. What begins as a desire to uplift can quietly shift into enabling, trapping both giver and receiver in a cycle of dependence. Detachment, though painful at first, is often the most merciful act, for them and for you. Clarity begins where exhaustion ends, and in that stillness, you are reminded your well-being is a calling too. You were never meant to fade in the name of loyalty. The light you carry was placed within you for a reason. But if left exposed to constant misuse, even the brightest flame will dim. Real love does not require sacrifice of the soul. It expands from within when nurtured and honored, not extracted like a resource. Recognize the moments where your care is twisted into convenience for someone else. You are not required to stay where your heart is drained. Reclaiming your energy is not turning your back. It is turning toward truth. There is a line between empathy and entanglement, and crossing it can cost more than peace. It can cost purpose. Taking on the spiritual weight of those unwilling to face their own choices slowly pulls you into their storms. This isn't support, it's spiritual trespassing. And while the intention may be kindness, the outcome is imbalance. You're not meant to be a substitute for consequence. Everyone has their own path to walk, and stepping into someone else's lesson only distorts both of your journeys. The message is simple, yet profound. The burdens that belong to others must stay with them. If you keep intercepting what isn't yours to fix, you stall their growth and compromise your own. There is power in stepping back, not to abandon, but to honor the greater design. Liberation doesn't come from carrying others indefinitely. It comes from remembering who you are without their weight. Let them meet their own reflection, and in doing so, return to your center, where your energy flows freely and your purpose becomes clear again. There are souls whose hearts are open, whose instinct is to hold space for everyone around them. But that instinct, when unchecked, can become a silent surrender of their own light. Being deeply compassionate doesn't mean absorbing what others refuse to face. You were not created to act as a vault for unresolved pain, nor to shield others from the effects of their choices. That urge to carry what doesn't belong to you is not divine, it's distortion. And when the weight begins to dull your spirit, the signal is clear. You must step back to protect what's sacred within you. Now is the moment to share God's blessings by clicking the Super Thank You button. on YouTube. With a donation of $100 or more, you can actively participate in his divine mission and contribute to his greater plan. Every offering you make reflects the boundless generosity of God, and I trust it will return to you abundantly, far exceeding your hopes. Always remember, his protection and blessing accompany your every step and every act of giving. You are a vital part of his sacred design. You are strong and radiant, steadfast, like his mighty rock. Experience God's miracles. Feel the rewards of your generosity deep within your soul, and shine your light with boldness and faith. May you be richly blessed, and may the light of the Lord continually guide your journey. What seems noble on the surface, endlessly giving, often conceals a quiet unraveling. Not every act of support is rooted in truth, especially when it comes at the cost of your stability. The more you stretch yourself thin for those who remain unmoved by your efforts, the more you lose pieces of yourself in the process. It may feel like love, but love without respect is exploitation in disguise. And when someone takes your energy without awareness, they aren't the only one accountable. You are too, for allowing it to continue. When the soul is drained, the signs aren't always loud. Sometimes they whisper through restlessness, through apathy, through a dull ache that doesn't go away.